Hello and welcome back to Pharmaceutical Concepts. In my earlier video, we have already understood the preliminary test to be performed on the given solid or liquid sample, which is the organic sample, so that we can identify the structure of that organic compound. Before that, if you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe. So this is called as qualitative analysis of the organic compound, where by performing various tests on this given unknown powder, which you can see in the picture, it is just the white powder given to me, okay, on my table, and I have to identify its structure. So what I have to do to know the structure of this particular compound? How I will know whether it has hydroxy group, whether it has amino group, whether it is phenolic, whether it is saturated, unsaturated? How I will know? Okay, so this is all encompassed under the heading of qualitative analysis. Okay, and see, this compound could have different types of structures. It maybe is the compound containing amino group or sulfur, or it may be having the aromatic nature, it may have the benzene ring or carboxylic acid group, or the amide group could be there, or it may have halogens into it. So among these, this particular compound has which elements present into it, or what type of structure this compound will have. All this we will be studying in this video. As I mentioned earlier, this is the step-by-step flow of this study to determine the structure of any organic compound. Okay, preliminary tests. See, this is the step 1, that is preliminary test and physical examination. So this we have already learned in my earlier video. These preliminary tests, they involve the study of solubility, then pH, then aromaticity. Then we also carry out the test to understand whether the compound is saturated or unsaturated. Okay, so in this video, I am mainly focusing on the third step, that is elemental analysis. Second step is the physical constant determination, which is nothing but the melting point if the compound is solid and boiling point if the compound is liquid. And this we generally carry out using the Thiel's apparatus. Okay, so let us learn more about the elemental analysis. Any organic compound. For any organic compound, carbon is the main constituent element, and hydrogen is also present in most of the organic compounds. But yes, there are few exceptions for that also, like carbon tetrachloride, carbon disulfide. These are also organic solvents, okay, but they do not have hydrogen into it. There are other elements which may also be present in organic compounds, like nitrogen, sulfur, halogens, in which chlorine, bromine and iodine is mainly characterized or identified using the test which I will be discussing in this particular video. Now there is no special test for the oxygen, but when all these elements, they join together to make any of these structures, means any of the compound, okay, they are joined by these covalent bonds, and in order to detect them, the elements need to be converted into their ionic forms. Okay, what I said just now, that I don't know that the compound which is given to me has which structure. There are so many structures which can be formed by using these covalent bonds between the two elements. And when I say organic compound, I know that carbon will be there, hydrogen will be there, okay, and there is no specific test for oxygen. But yes, I can carry out the specific test for the detection of nitrogen, sulfur and the various halogens. So objective of this video is to understand the principle for the detection of the presence of nitrogen, sulfur, chlorine, bromine and iodine in organic compounds by Lassane's test. This test involves following two steps. First, preparation of sodium fusion extract, and second, detection of elements using sodium fusion extract. Now this is done by fusing the organic compound. Organic compound means what? Means the sample which is given to me on my table. Okay, sample is given to me and I have to fuse that sample with sodium metal. So this is done by fusing the organic compound with sodium metal. Fusion of the organic compound with metallic sodium converts the elements into water soluble sodium salt. The ionic compounds formed during the fusion are extracted in aqueous solution and can be detected by simple chemical tests. Okay, are you getting my point? So this sample means the whole structure which I have to determine. Okay, there are some functional groups over here, or maybe it is not having any benzene ring but a straight chain compound, maybe alkane, alkene, alkyne, anything. Okay, so my sample is having a structure and I'm fusing this structure with the sodium metal so that this whole compound, this compound or the elements from this compound, they get converted in ionic form. Okay, and for example, if my compound has my compound is like suppose this is my compound. Okay, and I will just convert this when I fuse this compound with the sodium metal. Okay, the product which is formed after fusing is NaCl. So that is existing in water in the form of ions, that is Na plus and Cl minus. Okay, so from my sample, now this Na has taken up the chlorine. Okay, and this is now present in this water. Okay, because it is extracted in aqueous solution. The usual qualitative tests are performed on the resultant solution for the respective possible constituents, and this extract is called as sodium fusion extract, or it is also called as Lassane's extract. The name of the test came from the French chemist J. L. Lassane, who has developed this method. Okay, so this is the picture of sodium metal, and please beware, we don't have to use this much huge amount of sodium metal for the test, and there are so many precautions which we have to follow. We have to take so many precautions while handling sodium. We have to take a very small piece of sodium metal, using forceps, and whenever we are handling the sodium we have to wear gloves. We cannot throw these pieces of sodium into wash basin directly because sodium is highly reactive with water. We usually store sodium in the solutions, or in the protective solutions, or in kerosene or in mineral oil. Okay, and whenever you take small amount of this sodium, we have to directly drop it into the fusion tube. There is a small glass tube which is called as fusion tube. Now this fusion tube will be then directly heated on the burner, and sodium starts melting and it will turn into a shining globule. As soon as this happens, I will take a small pinch of the sample. I will add it in the sodium fusion tube and I will continue heating. Now after few seconds, this whole mixture turns into red hot color. Okay, so as soon as this happens, I can drop this sodium fusion tube in a china dish having a small amount of water into it, little amount of water into it. It will break as soon as it falls into the water. Water will be at room temperature, of course, and I can further break the fusion tube using glass rod. And now this water will be again boiled on the burner so that a concentrated solution is obtained, and this concentrate is then called as sodium fusion extract. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now what is expected to be present in this sodium fusion extract? If in my compound there is nitrogen, then that nitrogen is been taken along with sodium and that is present in the extract. Okay, if this compound has sulfur into it, then that sulfur is taken out from that structure and it is taken in, or it is present in this aqueous extract. If there are any halogens present in the structure of this particular compound, then those halogens are now present in the sodium fusion extract. Okay, so they all are now dissolved in this aqueous extract. Okay, they are present in ionic form. Now here, if the given sample has nitrogen into it, so this nitrogen I am showing from the sample, this carbon is from the sample. Okay, so they fuse with sodium and during this process sodium cyanide is formed, and this sodium cyanide is present in the sodium fusion extract if the compound has nitrogen into it. If the compound has sulfur into it, okay, then sodium fusion extract is supposed to have sodium sulfide into it. If the compound has halogen, any halogen, okay, chlorine, bromine, iodine, then the sodium fusion extract will have sodium halide into it. And if nitrogen or sulfur, if they both are present, sodium thiocyanate, sodium thiocyanate is formed and that is present in sodium fusion extract. I hope this is clear. Now let us start with the detection of nitrogen. This is the very specific test for detecting the presence of nitrogen. Now in this sodium fusion extract, few ml, like 5 to 7 ml of the sodium fusion extract is taken. In this we will add some amount of saturated ferrous sulfate, FeSO4. We will add a drop of sodium hydroxide into it and the solution will be boiled. Okay, you can carry out this test in a test tube, glass test tube. Okay, now to the solution then we will add FeCl3. Okay, the mixture will then be cooled and acidified. See, we have added NaOH, no? So definitely the solution has become basic. Then we will acidify this solution using concentrated HCl. Okay, and observe the color change. If the sodium fusion extract has nitrogen in it, nitrogen in the form of sodium cyanide, if it is present, then we will get a Prussian blue color in the test tube. Okay, and usually it is observed that the test for nitrogen is unsatisfactory, and it is especially difficult to get the test positive for nitro compounds. Very difficult to get the test positive for nitro compounds. Okay, and yes, the along with nitrogen, if sulfur is also present, okay, then for that we have a different test which I will be discussing in the further slides. Okay, but after performing this test, if I get Prussian blue color, then definitely nitrogen is present. And many a times, based on the quality of the sodium fusion extract, if the sodium decomposition is complete or incomplete, based on that, or if the amount of sodium which is taken, whether that is taken insufficient amount, or it is in lesser quantity than required, then based on that, the blue to green colors are obtained in the test tube. These are some of the tests. Yes, we know NaCN is formed in the sodium fusion extract. Okay, so if my sodium fusion extract has NaCN, then only it will react with FeSO4 to give this compound. Further, when I add FeCl3, the product which is formed is ferric ferrocyanide, and it is this ferric ferrocyanide which has Prussian blue color. Okay, and yes, there are, based on the structures, there are different reactions possible, and you can note down these reactions, but the color is ranging from blue to green. Now the next important test is the test for detection of sulfur. If my compound has sulfur element into it, then definitely that sulfur has been taken up by the sodium metal in the form of sodium sulfide. Okay, so this has happened in or during the sodium fusion test. Okay, and now the sodium sulfide is present in the sodium fusion extract. Now I want to ensure, or I want to check the presence of sulfur into my sodium fusion extract. So what I will do, I will take sodium fusion extract a little amount, and in that I will add lead acetate. Okay, so lead acetate is taken in presence of acidic condition by using acetic acid, and during this process, so lead sulfide is formed along with sodium acetate. Okay, now this lead sulfide is a precipitate and it has black color. So this black colored precipitate which is formed ensures the presence of sulfur in the sodium fusion extract, means that sulfur is present as an element in the given sample of the organic compound. The next important test is for the detection of both nitrogen and sulfur present in the sodium fusion extract. So it is very important to understand here, if the amount of sodium which we have taken, if that is very less, then that sodium will react with both this sulfur, carbon and nitrogen, and it will form sodium thiocyanate. Okay, so Na plus SCN minus. If you are taking more amount of the sodium metal while performing the fusion, then in that case this can further react with that excess sodium and it will form NaCN and Na2S. Okay, so in that case you will get Prussian blue color, you will get black PPT when you will perform the individual test for nitrogen and sulfur. Okay, but since this sodium thiocyanide is not there, what will happen, you may not get this blood red color which you will get in this test. Okay, so you can always repeat the test in case you are not getting this blood red color which you are supposed to get by performing this test. But if you have got both these individual tests positive, then you can repeat this test by taking very little amount of sodium for fusing the organic compound. Okay, so here the sodium fusion extract, okay, is treated with the ferric ions. Ferric ions I am getting from FeCl3. Okay, and after reacting with ferric ions, if this particular compound is formed, okay, if this complex is formed, then the solution in your test tube will get this blood red color. So as soon as you get blood red color, that means your sodium fusion extract had both sulfur, nitrogen, and thus the sodium thiocyanide was present in the sodium fusion extract. Now the next important test is for the detection of halogens, and these halogens, if they are present in the compound, the sodium halide is formed. Okay, if any of these are present, okay, and if I treat this sodium fusion extract with silver nitrate in acidic condition, and the acidic condition is provided by dilute nitric acid, so in that case the precipitate is formed of silver halide along with NaNO3. Okay, so if the sodium fusion extract, for example, it has NaCl into it, then the precipitate which is formed is AgCl. So a cordy white precipitate is formed of silver chloride. That confirms the presence of sodium chloride in sodium fusion extract, and thus that confirms the presence of chlorine element in the unknown powder, that is the unknown compound. If the sodium fusion extract has NaCl into it, it will react with silver nitrate to form AgCl. If NaBr is present, it will react with silver nitrate to form AgBr, and if sodium iodide is present, it will react with silver nitrate to form silver iodide. And all these reactions, they require acidic condition which is provided by nitric acid. It is the yellowish white precipitate, whereas silver iodide is the yellow precipitate. Okay, and their further confirmation can be done by adding ammonium hydroxide into it. So this yellowish white precipitate of silver bromide is sparingly soluble. It is sparingly soluble in ammonium hydroxide. Cordy white precipitate of silver chloride is completely soluble in ammonium hydroxide, whereas yellow pipette of silver iodide is not soluble in ammonium hydroxide. Okay, now you may ask why only chlorine, bromine and iodine are getting identified over here, why I am not talking anything about fluorine. Because fluorine we cannot detect using Lassane's test, because silver fluoride is water soluble and it doesn't form any precipitate. So for the detection of fluorine, we can use any other method like spectroscopic methods, for example NMR technique. Okay, so FNMR technique can be used for detecting the presence of fluorine. There are many other methods also, mass spectroscopy and all. Okay, but using this Lassane test, fluorine cannot be identified. Thank you for watching till the end, and do subscribe the channel if you have not yet subscribed.